on a same number.
So,
Written, what is potential energy? Potential energy or internal energy, please remember, not only in this chapter, in all the chapters, it is denoted by capital letter U. This means internal energy or internal potential energy or only potential energy. And the unit will still be Joule because the unit of energy is Joule. Okay. If you want, you can write on the unit also. Unit will still be Joule for potential energy. So make a note of potential energy of a magnet. The unit will still be Joule. Is it clear? Now, go to the side heading Earth's magnetism on page number 55. Check. Page 55. And you see main side heading Earth's magnetism. In that, see point number 2. See point number 2. A vertical plane passing through the geographical axis is called geographical meridian. This we have studied in your 11th standard also. What is magnetic meridian, magnetic axis, geographic meridian, geographic axis. So I want you to write point number 2 again and look at point number 3. The magnetic axis and the geographical axis, they make an angle of 11.3 degree with each other. Important theory question. The magnetic axis and the geographic axis make an angle 11.3 degree with each other. Therefore, start writing point number 2 and point number 3. Start. Start writing point number 2 and point number 3.
bueno,
Point number 2 and point number 3 done. Now, on the same page, page number 55, see the last point, point number 5. See the last point, point number 5. What is written? Direction of Earth's magnetic field is always from geographical south to geographical north. Make a note of this point also. Direction of Earth's magnetic field is from geographical south to geographical north. Make a note. Okay, come to next page. Page number 56. Page number 56. Now, see the side heading magnetic declination. Tell me whether you have studied this last year. What is magnetic declination? It is the angle between the magnetic meridian and the geographic meridian at any place. Remember, we have done this already. Therefore, make a note of it again. What is magnetic declination? It is the angle between the magnetic meridian and the geographic meridian. Start. Page number 56. Page number 56.
So we need to draw the diagram of.
No. Only the definition. Angle between magnetic meridian and geographic meridian. And 11th standard, we had something called as angle of dip also. Tan delta is equal to BV by BH. Remember this? And I told you at the equator, vertical component is 0. At the pole, horizontal component is 0. 11th standard notes. Okay. And you know that in this BV is a vertical component. Therefore, it is B sine delta, and BH is the horizontal component. Therefore, it will be B cos delta. And the total magnetic field B will be equal to square root of BV square plus BH square. Remember these four formula from 11th standard. Just check. For angle of dip delta, see the first formula, angle of dip is equal to BV by BH. Second, BV and BH are horizontal and vertical components. Therefore, BV is V sine delta and BH is V cos delta. And the total magnetic field is square root of BV square plus BH square. All these formulae were there in 11th standard also. It has come again. So make a note of this. This is all regarding our angle of dip delta formula. Now, see magnetic equipment, side heading 3, that I will do it when it comes in the other chapter itself. So you don't need to do magnetic equipments right now. Magnetic materials on page number 59, we have already done it. Okay. So now I want all of you to come to page number 61. I want all of you to come to page number 61 to Curie's law. Page number 61 to okay. Shall we start? Now, you know what is diamagnetic substance, what is paramagnetic substance, what is ferromagnetic substance. Diamagnetic, which are weakly repelled, paramagnetic, which are weakly attracted, and ferromagnetic substances, which are strongly attracted. Now, Curie's law, first remember, Curie's law is only applicable to paramagnetic substances. Curie's law is only applicable to paramagnetic substances. And the law states that for a paramagnetic substance, listen to me carefully, for a paramagnetic substance, the magnetic susceptibility, it inversely is proportional to temperature. Remember, this law or this particular equation is applicable only to paramagnetic substances. Therefore, listen to this. Susceptibility, if I remove the proportionality sign, is equal to constant upon T, where C is called Curie constant and T is your absolute temperature. Absolute temperature means the temperature has to be in Kelvin. Absolute temperature means what? The temperature has to be in Kelvin. Remember, this is only for paramagnetic substances. And what is the actual law? It says that susceptibility is inversely proportional to temperature. Now, tell me how many of you understand this. Okay, first write this. See, where is it? I'll tell you. In your book, page number 61. Okay, come to page number 61. See the side heading 4.3 Curie law. Can you see 4.3 Curie law? I'll read it. The magnetic susceptibility of a paramagnetic substance is inversely proportional to absolute temperature. Therefore, Xi is directly proportional to 1 by T. In the next step, they have made a mistake. In the next step, it should not be proportional to C by T. It should be equal to C by T. Because if you remove the proportionality sign, you get equal to constant. See on your screen, I have made that change. This should be the actual law. Okay, where C is called the Curie constant and T is the absolute temperature. And look at the next line. Magnetic susceptibility of a ferromagnetic substance does not change according to Curie law. That means ferromagnetic substance does not fall under Curie law. I told you before itself, look at the screen, that this law is only for paramagnetic substances. This law is only for paramagnetic. Why I'm saying? For ferromagnetic, there is one more law that is applicable. So your entire Curie law, look at this. It is only for paramagnetic. What is Curie law? Susceptibility is inversely proportional to temperature. If I remove proportionality sign, I get equal to constant. That equal to constant in that C is called Curie constant and T is called as absolute temperature. Make a note of this. Then I'll give you one formula which can come from this. Start. First, make a note of this. Finished?
Done.
There is something called Curie's law, there is something called Curie-Weiss law, and there is something called Curie temperature. All three are different things. In your module, you can see all three. Can you see Curie's law, Curie's temperature, Curie-Weiss law? All three are different. Right now, what I'm doing is Curie's law itself. Okay, now, finish writing. Tell me from this law, tell me how many of you understood how this formula.
Understood.
So it should be inverse, sir.
How many of you understood how this formula came? So I'll tell you. Say this. From here, can I say psi t is a constant from this formula? So look at this. From this formula, can I say psi t is equal to constant? So if I have two things, xi1 t1 also will be equal to constant, and xi2 t2 also will be equal to constant. Therefore, can I say xi1 t1 is equal to xi2 t2? Can I say this formula will be applicable? Can I say this formula will be applicable? Therefore, in the problems of your NEET, which formula actually comes again and again is this. Xi1 T1 is equal to Xi2 T2. This is your formula which comes indirectly from Curie's law. Make a note, quick. Xi1 T1 is equal to Xi2 T2. Okay.
So it should be T2 or T1.
Xi1 T1 equal to Xi2 T2. How it came, it is on the screen. I think my screen is gone. 1 minute. How did the formula come? Also look at this. Now, using this, I'll show you one or two problems, easy problems. Okay, come to page number. Page number 70. Everyone come to page number 7070. Everyone come to page number 7070. In that, see question number 22. Tell me what should be the answer. Page number 70, 70, question number 22. Page number 70, question number 22. Tell me what should be the answer.
C.
C. Inversely proportional.
Page
C.
number, yeah, page number 70, question number 22. Tell me what will be the answer. The magnetic susceptibility for any paramagnetic material changes with absolute temperature as, can I say it is inversely proportional to temperature? We just did, and that law is called our Curie's law itself. Remember the keyword is paramagnetism. Remember the keyword is paramagnetism. Also, see question number 24. See question number 24. And the clue to solve question number 24 is this. Start. Same page, question number 24. Try to solve. Correct, Nidya. Others try to solve. So please look at the screen now. Susceptibility of Mg at 300 Kelvin. That means I will take this as 300 Kelvin is 1.2 into 10 power minus 5. This is 1.2 into 10 power minus 5 is equal to the temperature at which susceptibility, the new susceptibility is 1.8 into 10 power minus 5 into T2. Means I have to find the new temperature T2. Therefore, can I say T2 will be 1.2 into 10 power minus 5 into 300 upon 1.8 into 10 power minus 5. Correct? Now look at this. 10 power minus 5 and 10 power minus 5 will cancel. 2s are 3s are 0.62s are 0.63s are 3 1s are 3 hundreds, and therefore 2 into 100 will be 200. Therefore, answer for T2 will be 200 Kelvin. Tell me, all of you getting this answer as 200 Kelvin? All of you getting the answer? Okay, perfect. So this is how you solve problems based on Curie's law. Now I told you which formula came. Xi1 T1 is equal to Xi2 T2. This formula came, not the other formula. Actually, it's the same formula, but you have to see the variation of that. Got it, all of you? Okay. So now we got Curie's law. Now, again, look at the screen. And now we have something called as Curie temperature. Now see, everyone please look at the screen. Now I have a ferromagnetic substance, okay? I have a ferromagnetic substance and I start heating it. I start heating it. Means I start increasing the temperature. Now at one point, the ferromagnetic substance loses its domain structure. Means here, every magnet will have some domains, okay? Means certain regions. Now, if I start heating it, at one point, the domain structure gets destroyed. For example, every house will have rooms, correct? Now, if the house is on fire, listen to me carefully. At one point, all the rooms will burn down. Can I say all the rooms have burned down? So at that point, okay, that ferromagnetic substance becomes paramagnetic substance. Okay, listen to me carefully. I have a ferromagnetic substance. I start heating it. At one point, ferromagnetic substance will lose its internal domain structure. And once it loses its internal domain structure, it behaves like a paramagnetic substance. Okay, that temperature at which ferromagnetic turns into paramagnetic, that temperature is called Curie temperature. Therefore, if they ask you what is Curie temperature is the temperature above which ferromagnetic substance behaves like a paramagnetic substance. Therefore, if they ask in the exam, how do you convert a ferromagnetic substance into a paramagnetic substance? Answer is by heating it above Curie temperature. Because above Curie temperature, if I heat it, ferromagnetic becomes paramagnetic. Now, if you look at same page number 61, just look at page number 61, all of you. Look at page number 61. Saw it, page number 61. In that, see the side heading Curie temperature, that is 1. Inside the bracket it is written TC, that is temperature of Curie. Now see the definition, what is written. The temperature above which a ferromagnetic material behaves like a paramagnetic material is defined as Curie temperature. Did you guys get it? The temperature above which a ferromagnetic substance behaves like a paramagnetic substance is called Curie temperature. And below that, they have given the Curie temperature of certain materials: nickel, iron, cobalt. Okay, very important to know all three for theory questions. Therefore, I want you to write the entire section. What is Curie temperature? The temperature above which a ferromagnetic substance behaves like a paramagnetic substance. And I want you to remember the Curie temperature for all three major ferromagnetic substances: iron, nickel, and cobalt. So start writing quick. written? Now, page number 70, page number 70. See question number 16. See page number 70, question number 16. They are saying iron would become paramagnetic at about, you have to see the Curie temperature, which is the nearest Curie temperature for iron. So
800.
the answer would be 800. Answer would be 800 because it is 770 around. Therefore, can I say iron would become paramagnetic? That means they are asking what is Curie temperature for iron. So Curie temperature for iron would be 770, but I can say it is close to 800. Check everyone. Page number 70, question number 16. And you know, domain structure is only for ferromagnetism because for diamagnetism, it is orbital motion. Listen to me carefully. Check your table. Diamagnet, paramagnet, ferromagnet. Last class, we have done a table. Diamagnetism, paramagnetism, ferromagnetism. Can I say for diamagnetism, the origin is nothing but orbital motion? For paramagnetism, it is spin motion. And for ferromagnetism, it is nothing but domain structure. And you know that domain structures at normal temperature will be perfectly aligned, and the domain structure is only for ferromagnetism. I don't have domain structure for diamagnetism and paramagnetism. Therefore, if you see question number 15, the question above that, can you answer? Page number 70, question number 15.
First, A option.
A.
Option will be A because your domain formation is only in ferromagnetism. Therefore, can I say 15 and 16 both are known? Try 17th one also. Seventeenth one is at room temperature for permanent magnet. Means permanent magnet means ferromagnetism. So can I say ferromagnetism, something to do with domains will come because permanent magnets means ferromagnetism. And for ferromagnetism, all the domains are perfectly aligned. Option D. You should know that all the domains are perfectly aligned. First of all, domains come only in ferromagnetism, and permanent magnet can be made only out of ferromagnetism or ferromagnetic substances. Therefore, look at question number 15, 16, 17, all three, and tell me if you have any doubts in all three. 15, 16, and 17. Just check all three.
Sir, domain is what?
I cannot hear you.
What is domain?
Domain is the region. When I was doing ferromagnetic, I was explaining a magnet is divided into regions or spaces. That's each space is called a domain. For example, diamagnetic substance origin is what? Orbital motion. Paramagnetic, the origin is spin motion. And for ferromagnetic, the origin is domain theory or domain formation. Just look at the table of diamagnetic, paramagnetic, ferromagnetic that you have made in the notebook and tell me whether this point is written. Orbital, orbital and spin, and for ferromagnetic it is domain structure. Check differences between diamagnetism, paramagnetism and ferromagnetism. Check your notes.
Yes, it is written.
Right? Okay, come to the previous page, page number 69. Come to the previous page, page number 69. In that, see question number 1. Tell me, what should be the answer? page number 69, question number 1. Page number 69, question number 1. What are diamagnetic substances?
C.
Answer will be C. They are weakly repelled by a magnetic field. Weakly means feebly repelled by a magnetic field. Therefore, answer for question number 1 will be C. They are feebly repelled by a magnet. Clear? Okay. We'll solve more of this. Okay, so we'll log into the next session. So all of you log off and log in.